to the spiritual world where he meets up with emotions. Both intelligence and emotions then come back to the active where they get the chaplain and escort the chaplain right back to the point of manifestation where they then form the sacred delta with their staffs for the benefit of the prayer. Let me stop there, gentlemen, by saying that that is an excellent way to pray, to have your intelligence and your emotions together praying before the altar of self. To whatever deity it is, what you're doing is you're activating your entire being. After that prayer, they come back, escort, come back. Conscience says, Brother Intelligence, consciousness, please display the three great lights by aid of the representatives of the three lesser lights. The three lesser lights are, it takes psychic senses, it takes physical senses, and it takes reason to shine light on the three great lights, which is the great law regulated by cause, the compasses, and effect, the square. This then, gentlemen, is what's going on in the Masonic Lodge and what's going on within yourselves. And each time we do the opening and closing, this is what is taking place. This is what's happening. Now, Masonic Lodge is composed of many different symbols. I'm not saying that this is the ultimate meaning of what Masonry is, because by very nature of it being a symbol, it can mean many different things. But this is what ancient Masons used to understand and what they used to teach. Because we have the ability to harmonize ourselves, to become better men. And this is the process. Now, some of the things that I want to point out to you are some of the phrases, and these phrases might not be compatible with your phrases, but I think they're pretty close. When the junior warden says, worship as we see pleasure and profit thereby, that's something that is understandable when you put it in the fact that everything that we do here is for the pleasure of our consciousness. Okay? Another phrase that the senior warden says, harmony being to support all institutions, especially this of ours. What an appropriate statement for your soul to say. Okay? Your soul is the one in charge, for you Royal Archmasons, paying wages. And then, worship master, set craft of work, giving proper instructions for their labor. It's your consciousness. So, within ourselves, we have extreme greatness. We can cultivate this greatness by understanding that that's exactly what the Masonic Lodge is teaching us. And that our consciousness can communicate with our soul through our intelligence and communicate those messages. And then our intelligence can relay those messages to the divine being within us, the divine spark, through our emotions. A couple of things I also want to point out to you is that the only time that consciousness speaks to our higher self is when you call the craft from labor to refreshment. Incidentally, when you call the craft from labor to refreshment, you're talking the lights. What this means is it's either one of two things: sleep or death. When you call the craft from labor, work, to refreshment, you switch those columns, your higher self takes over. Your higher self does that when you're sleeping, when you're slumbering, when you're dreaming at night, when your conscious mind has the ability to still itself and be quiet and allow the builder to build. I mentioned earlier about the prayer, your intelligence, emotions working together to give a strong prayer, suitable prayer within your own being. And I'll also talk about the degrees, the first degree, the second degree, and the third degree. How many does it take to make a Master Mason's Lodge? It takes 3 or more. Telegraph's Lodge takes at least 5. An entered apprentice takes 7. The reason why, gentlemen, is because the first degree, again, is representative of the physical world. The second degree is representative of the astral world, and the third degree is representative of the spiritual world. So it takes all 7 officers to operate in this physical realm. In the astral realm, you don't need those 2. It just takes the 5. And then in the spiritual realm, it only takes 3. Now what's interesting is over here, you have your secretary and your treasurer, your etheric body and your physical body. And if you've got Google etheric body and see what it does. But basically what it does is your etheric body takes all the sensory perceptions of all vibrations, both physical, astral, and spiritual. It takes them and then passes them over to the treasurer, obtaining his receipt thereof. That's what happens. Your etheric body takes all of those vibrations and it manifests in your physical body. The other thing that I want to point out is this special relationship between the 3 principles. Because, one of the questions I ask young Masons all the time is, do you know how to prove your square? Have no idea what I'm talking about. In order to erect buildings, in order to build anything, you have to have a square, the actual tool, right? But how do you prove a square if you don't already have the square, right? In order to create the square, you have to be able to figure out how to create an angle of 90 degrees so that you can then go out and make sure things are square. And we do that by geometry. Now, most lodges are not oriented the way I'm about to talk, or explain. This one, of course, is you have your wardrobe master and your senior warden at approximately the same distance. But the junior warden is not. In the true Masonic Lodge, these 3 officers are equally distant from the altar. Okay? Because geometry teaches us that if you have 3 points with the same radius, the same distance from the center, okay, they're sitting on a circle. Okay? Circle representative of spiritual realm, square representing of the physical realm. So, if the worshipful master, the senior warden, and the junior warden are all equally distant from the altar, then that means that they are sitting in a circle. And according to the 47th problem of Euclid, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you will find that when you have a circle dissected by a diameter of 2 points, and that third point is sitting on the circle, it doesn't matter where it is. He could be sitting here. He could be sitting over there. It doesn't matter. As long as he's sitting on that circle, what you have is a right angle. You have a square.